Good afternoon, guys. Thank you very much for joining this session. I would like you guys to help me confirm if you can hear me.
Can hear you.
Okay, that's good. Thank you very much. So as usual, um, we started a 5 day tech event yesterday. So we discussed about web development yesterday, and it will go on like this for 5 days, which will end on Saturday. So for today, Wednesday, we'll be discussing about Flutter. So we have to wait a couple of minutes more for people to join because today is a business day as usual. People would tend to be quite busy than on other days. So I would implore you to settle down, get your stuff ready, and like I said, we would have to wait a couple of minutes. By 12:05 we should be able to start the session effectively. So we already have a speaker in our midst already, and by 12:05 we would kickstart the session. So thank you very much, guys, and stay tuned. So thank you very much, guys, for joining the session. It's 12:05 already, and like we did yesterday, we would like to do like a quick introduction, like to read the bio of our speaker. So I would like to invite Aminat to do that for us, just to basically describe who our speaker is and what he does in tech, and how he's going to make this session an interesting one. So, Aminat.
Thank you, Ahmad. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I trust we all are great. Nice having everyone here. My name is Aminat. I hope we all can hear me.
Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you perfectly.
All right. Thank you. To get started with, on the day two of getting started in tech, a 5 day onboarding session hosted by the DSC University of Ilorin. So here we have Mr. Wujuade Abdulafiz, who will be putting us through getting started with Flutter technology. Well, Mr. Hafiz is a student of the University of Ilorin who works as a mobile app developer at O Bounce Technologies, and also being a lover of communities and technology at the whole. He loves the Flutter framework, so we are all excited to have him here with us. So welcome everyone, and thank you, Mr. Abdulaziz. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm not.
You're welcome.
Okay. My name is Wujwadi, as I'm not as said. She has almost said everything else there is to say about me. And I'll proceed to start the presentation. I'll try to share my screen now so that everybody can follow along with what I'm saying. Hold on 1 second. Right. Um, can you guys see my screen now?
Yeah, yeah, we can.
Okay. So once again, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wujwadi Abdulafiz. I'm a mobile application developer at Obas Technologies, and I'm also studying computer science at the University of Ilorin. Today, I'll be talking about getting started with Flutter, how to get started on a strong foot with Flutter, like how to have a strong foundation with Flutter, how to start Flutter. Basically, this talk is basically aimed at total beginners with Flutter. So, if you already know what Flutter is, if you never Flutter, you have worked with Flutter before, it might seem a little bit unexciting to you, but do stick around. Love to have you here. Please, if I'm too fast, I would like anybody to tell me. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So please, if I'm too fast or anything, you can always draw me back. Just switch on your mic and talk to me. Okay, so this is the outline of what we are going to be doing today. Naturally, we are going to talk about Flutter. We're going to talk about what mobile application development is, since this topic is aimed at total beginners, start from scratch. I'm going to talk about what mobile application development is and the approaches we have to mobile application development. Talk about Flutter, the framework, and the language we use to write Flutter, and why we use the language. Then we finally talk about how to learn Flutter and some common mistakes you might make when you're trying to learn Flutter. Okay, so let's get right in. First of all, what's mobile application development? Mobile application development is the process of making softwares for smartphones and digital assistants. And most common mobile softwares, mobile operating systems, we have Android and iOS. The software can be pre-installed and downloaded on mobile app store or access to your browser and blah 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 like that. So when you are developing a mobile application, there are like couple decisions you have to make, either as a startup or in this case as a beginner or someone that wants to develop a solution for the world. There are a couple of decisions you might have to make, like which operating system you want to target your that's which operating system you want to target. That's like the basic stuff you have to decide on first of all. And as you know which ecosystem you want to target, like I've said earlier, either Android or iOS. Mostly people pick Android and then integrate iOS later. But hold on 1 second. Like I said, most case you want to target both ecosystems because you don't want to leave anybody out, and you want to like reach a large audience at once so that people can use your solution and use your products. But there is a problem to this because you have to learn how to develop for the two major operating systems we have. You have to, and this means you have to learn two different stacks of mobile application development. And in the case of a startup, that means you have to start hiring two different teams. And doing this can be very, very hard and slow because you just want to put your product out there for people to use, and yeah, and you find out that you have to start learning like two different languages to just put your product out. So, like I said earlier, like I was saying earlier, developing literally for one operating system is called native development. As you can see, a native development refers to building a mobile app exclusively for a single platform. This app is built with a programming language and tools that are specific to a single platform. For example, you can develop a native Android app with Java or Kotlin, or choose Swift and Objective-C for iOS. And this approach has a couple of benefits and some cons. We'll get back to that in a moment. Or let's just talk about it straight away. Because if you are developing, I've said it, but I might not have been clear. If you are developing if you are developing natively, you get some built-in advantages developing for a native app because you're developing for one single platform, and you are provided with all the tools to actually communicate with that single operating system, right? So naturally, you have fast performance. You get access to actually customize the app how you want it to look like on that OS. Get full control over how you want the app to behave, and you can totally use every function available on that particular OS in your application, your product. It's but also it also has some cons, like some disadvantages, like I said earlier. That means you have to start in the case of where you want to push a product and you are planning to push for two different operating systems. That means you have to start learning two languages or start hiring two different teams. That means you have two different code bases, and also a common problem that people face is a branch should be ahead of the other in case that maybe like for example, the Android application might be getting updates more frequently than the Apple iOS application, and this is not very ideal. So to solve these problems, a lot of people have tried to solve the problem with native application development, and they've come up with cross-platform application development. So with cross-platform application software development is like the main aim is to develop one software, like write your code once and push on two or multiple different operating system, different platforms at once. And the lot of companies and a lot of individuals have tried to solve that problem for us. So example of the guys that have tried to solve the problems I stated earlier about native development, uh, React Native, we have Xamarin Forms, we have Ionic, we have Cordova, and many more like that. We also have Flutter, which we'll be talking about in a very short while now. But while trying to solve a problem, there is naturally going to be like trade-offs. Some things that you won't get everything. Some things that you have to forego to be able to develop for two operating systems because the engines on the two operating systems are different. So trying to have one code compile once and run on multiple devices like that, there are some processes, some approaches that these developers have gone through, and going through those approaches has kind of maybe slowed the performance of the application on the devices. You will not get native speed and stuff like that. We'll talk more about the cons of cross-platform application development now. Yeah, this is it. Like what I said, challenges of mobile applications today. Because now we have two approaches we can use to develop applications. And when we go through the native approach, we get high quality apps because, like I said, you have all the tools to work to talk to the operating system. Let's put it like that, to talk to the operating system. You have all the tools and the languages and frameworks that are available for you are made to actually talk to the operating system. So you get high quality apps and you have high performance UI. But for cross-platform application, you have faster development because you're only writing once. You don't have to manage two code bases. You only have to learn one programming language and then write your code and deploy on multiple platforms. And also, because you have a single code base, you can actually target more people at once. Native native approach is also kind of expensive because having two code base, you have to hire teams to manage the two code base. And but with cross-platform, you just have one code base and just one team to manage it like that. But for cross-platform, one thing that people have noticed with cross-platform application development and why people are still going for native development is that with cross-platform applications, you tend to have slow performance because, well, the approaches that the developers of those framework to develop cross-platform languages, cross-platform frameworks are not are like trading off some of the performance you get on native. I don't know if you understand what I just said. Let me take that again. Like you get users complain about slow and unpredictable performance with cross-platform applications. They also have non-native look and feel because for native apps, if you use an iOS app, you know the look and feel of an iOS app compared to an Android app because an Android app uses material design, iOS uses Cupertino, and you can just tell by looking at two applications developed natively. You can just tell by the dialogues, the buttons, different. You can just you like different the difference in the buttons, the dialogues, the even the whole scaffold itself, the whole app shell to look different. But with cross-platform, because they are writing once and are pushing to the two platforms. So you have so you have just one look, and that one look, that means maybe you are going to have to focus on Android look. So an iOS user will have an Android app, I mean like an Android looking app on his phone, and that's not very ideal. And since cross-platform development has not really been successful, people are using it, but it has not been successful. There is still space for more people to try and come up with their own solution. And this is what Google has done with Flutter. So what's Flutter? Flutter is Google's UI's framework. It helps developers craft high quality native experiences across multiple platforms in record time. Not even not sorry. Like I said, Flutter is a free open source mobile UI framework created by Google, and it was released in May 2007. In a few words, Flutter allows you to create a native mobile application with only one code base. That means when you write your one code base with Flutter, when you have one code base with Flutter, you can let the users have a feel of the different designs of both operating system. That means the user can use your products and feel they are using an iOS app, and an Android user will also use your product and feel like they're having a Android app, because Flutter compiles it natively and gives you a native feel to it. So why Flutter? Like I said, several frameworks in for cross-platform application. So why did Google start Flutter again? Since there are some already that are already in the market and people are already using them. And this is simply because, like I said earlier, native performance. Right? The solutions in the market for native, right? And that's what Flutter aims to give. There's also quick compilation. That's a very good documentation, and it's very simple to learn and easy to use. And second, like I said, Flutter combines the native performance and high quality. Flutter Flutter gives you the best of both worlds, both shots like that. With Flutter, you have flexible control over beautiful UI. As you can see on this slide, this GIF is these applications on this app are developed with Flutter, and with Flutter, you have developer as a developer, you have full control over each pixel on the screen. That means you can design whatever you want, and it's going to look the same on different platform. I also said earlier that it is simple and easy to use. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Like I said, Flutter is simple to learn and easy to use. And this is because Flutter is written in Dart, and Dart is a fairly is a modern language, also developed by Google, and It's it looks a bit like Java, C Sharp, and JavaScript. Yeah. So if you are coming from frameworks, any of that language, it's very very easy to get started with that. It's easy to learn because the syntax is very very familiar. Like I said, why develop Flutter? Because the when Google wanted to start Flutter, they they tried multiple languages for their aim, and they later settled with that because, like I said, it is easy to learn. Compilation and execution of that is top notch, top of the class, because that is one of the few languages and maybe the only mainstream language that is suited to being compiled with both ahead of time compilation and just in time compilation. Supporting both kind, I'll come back to talk about those two compilation if we have time. Supporting those kind of compilation provides significant advantages to data. Just in time compilation is used during development, and ahead of time compilation is used to when the app is ready for release. Just in time compilation is just like it says, just in time, like the your code is compiled just in time. So you have that just in time compilation gives you access to hot reload, which is one of the most popular features of Flutter. Fast hot with Flutter gives you much faster, gives you an edge because you can basically sit down with your designer and make changes to your app in real time. And when the app is ready for release, that automatically switches to ahead of time compilation, which compiles all your code at once and can predict what is going to happen next. So with that, you have predictable behaviors with your app. Also, that is also open source. That is open source. So it is out there. People are vetting it. People are contributing to it, and it is growing by the minute and minutes. So, how to learn Flutter, right? To learn Flutter, I will advise you to start learning that, actually learning that. But if you don't learn that, like the basics of that, you might end up getting into troubles, and it will be hard for you to navigate your way out of those kind of troubles. And like I said, I did not mention earlier, that is an object-oriented programming language. Right? So if you have a strong knowledge or a basic knowledge of object-oriented concepts, you find it easy to get started with that and Flutter because the producers, I mean the developers of these languages, they had it in mind for people to come in from several other languages and join in and develop with that. Also, you can also read the Flutter documentation on flutter.dev. Flutter.dev. Um, I'll leave the link before I finish. Reading documentation is one of the best ways to learn that because you come in contact with the way the developers, like the way the Google team itself wants you to use their framework. And also on flutter.dev, you come across different Google Code Labs, and it's actually a very nice thing. So the Code Labs are just like short coding sessions by Google that focuses on specific software development, some specific parts of software development. And for Flutter, there are like several code labs that focuses on specific parts of Flutter, like how to lay out, state management, network calling, and so on like that. And one of the very good things about code labs and why I recommend it is that it introduces you to standard coding practices, and this will go a long way in helping you and journey to become a professional developer. You can also watch YouTube content because there are several YouTube content creators, Flutter content creators on YouTube. We have Resocoda. I will leave a list of recommended content creators on YouTube. You can also read blog posts about Flutter on Ashnode, Medium, and yeah, dev.to. And one of the ways that one of the things that can help you, and this is also to myself because I'm also still learning Flutter, I'm still in this journey, is to document your progress when you are learning anything programming. Even if you are not documenting it and putting it out to the whole world, you can just have a notebook and write what you learn each day. Hello? What's that sound?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello? Sorry, okay. So documenting your progress will really go a long way in helping you. Right? If you document your progress, you can easily come back to what you have written when you are stuck. And you can also read it, just go through it maybe 2, 3 months after you've written it. You can just go back through it and see what you've been having problem with and how far you have gone. Documenting your progress and writing about your learning is more or less the same thing. Yeah, so common mistakes, sorry, common mistakes you can avoid when learning Flutter. Because when I started Flutter 6 months ago, there were some things that drew me back while I was learning Flutter, and that was first major mistake I made, and many other people have made, is overlooking that, because that is very very simple to get into. Because coming from Java or JavaScript or C Sharp or even C++, you can just get into that and start writing code that works, and with that you can easily overlook it. But there are still some really basic stuff about that. There are some subtle differences, basic stuff about that you should take your time to learn. And you can do that by reading on pub.dev, that.org, reading their documentation. It's reading the documentation is short and concise, very, 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 very good. One other thing is inconsistency, and that's almost everything with a self-taught developer. We, especially in this part of the world, we it's very, very hard to actually stay consistent when learning something new. And there are several stuff that can actually hinder your progress, hinder your consistency, which is like power, internet, and stuff. So if you want to get started with Flutter ASAP and move forward and maybe bag a job or feel confident or post an app on Apple Store or Android Store, you have to be consistent with what you are learning. Because if you leave it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you'll have forgotten some stuff which will take you another 1 week to go back. And if you keep doing that, it's just going to prolong your progress and delay you. Another thing is fixating about state management. In Flutter, State management is one of the most controversial topics in Flutter because the Google team did not they recommended a approach for us, but they did not enforce it because they believe Flutter is still, I think, don't let me say they believe because I'm not speaking for them. And I think this is because Flutter is still a very young framework. So create they allow huge flexibility. So you are free to write your code any how you want, as long as you're writing it in the lib folder. You are free to write it any how you want, manage your state any how you want, and that helps them also because with that they can look at approaches from other people and see which one is better. For example, provider the state management approach the Flutter team recommended early late 2019 was developed by an outsider, a member of the Flutter community from Roselle. And the funny thing is that Flutter team were already working on their own state management technique, but they found out that his own technique was better and it was already catching up. So they just recommended, they just dropped what they were doing and supported their package and recommended it to people. That way, the flexibility they give us developers, it paid off for both us and them because they won't have to spend more money and time trying to develop another package for managing states. Another thing we beginners we another thing we beginners we do a lot is watching too much tutorials, right? We we just keep on we watch tutorials without doing without writing code. Eh? We just watch and believe that okay, you can do it. And without if you keep watching tutorials like that, you feel like you know how to do it, but the personal experience for me is that the time I learn most is when I run into errors, run into bugs, and I try to fix them myself. One of the that's when I actually learn more about what I'm doing and feel confident with what I'm doing. Also, because Flutter gives us flexibility and room to write our code the way we want does not necessarily mean that we should just write it the way we want because when your app starts getting big, you can run into problems in managing the app. So it's best to find research about a file structure that works for you. Since Flutter did not give us one, you just have to find one that works for you and stick to it so that when it comes to managing your app in the future, it will be easier to push updates and just manage your app. Sha. And also writing clean code. Flutter gives us, I've been saying this, I've said it so many times, Flutter gives us like flexibility and to whom much is given, much is expected. Though um, they give us free reign to do whatever we want with their software, write it however we want. But they also provided us with guidelines on how to write performance and scalable code. That is code that works well and doesn't slow down and is easy to manage, updates, stuff like that. So it's very, very advisable and highly recommended to follow the rules that Flutter gives, the guidelines that they give. But that does not mean that you should follow it strictly, but just follow it and make sure your code base is clean and healthy. So now I'll be taking questions from members of the audience.
Okay. Thank you very much, Afiz. It's really appreciative to
Thank
see
you.
that you're able to come to this session and give us something that would help us get started with Flutter. Now, there is only one question here, and it doesn't seem like a question. It's like let me say like a request. Yeah. So the person said it would be appreciated if we can recommend a material to start with Flutter. So the material can cover like 80 to 90% of the basics. So when you were starting, you decided that you were going to share some resources by the end of the talk. I think.
Yes. Ah, I said I was going to share some stuff. I remember, but I did not write them down. I don't remember the stuff I said I'm going to share, but I think I will try to remember and just write it down. I think I can reach everybody chatting here. Um, I said I was going to I said I was going to share materials you can actually follow.
Yeah. So
Right? Are you with
yeah,
me?
yeah.
Okay.
So I think
So
you talked about the documentation, the Flutter documentation, code labs,
yes,
yeah, there, and
yes.
some YouTube channels that people can get started with. So I think you can
Oh,
use your
right.
browser to go to YouTube, recommend some channels, and just paste the links in the chat box. So while you do that, someone else
Oh,
has a question too. So the person said, "Can I learn that alone without Flutter?"
definitely, you can learn that alone without Flutter because that is a language on its own. Just for comparison sake, just like JavaScript is a language and React Native is the framework. So just like you can learn that, just like you can learn JavaScript alone without learning React Native, you can learn that without learning Flutter. You can use that to build stuff that you want to build because you can build a server that can also work on servers, and you can build console apps that, and you can also decide not to use the Flutter framework and design your own application with that without using Flutter. It's very possible, but I would not recommend designing your app without using Flutter with that. About Sadiq Adewale Adebisi, he said recommend a material to start with. I did not answer that very well. When I was starting with Flutter, I followed um, this tutorial. Are you seeing my screen, my
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah,
screen?
yeah,
Hello?
yeah. We can see your screen.
Yes, Arcade Coda, I think. Nope, it's not this guy. Forgotten the guy's name. Hold on, sorry. Use this course on Udemy.
And while Hafiz goes on getting resources, I think this session is one of five sessions that we are organizing
Arcade Mind.
for Flutter for tech. So we discovered about five tech skills that people are getting started with, and we noticed that most of them usually have issues when it comes to deciding which one they have to go for. So you will be hearing things like Flutter, UI, UX, machine learning, and all those things. So this session is the second session out of five sessions that we are organizing. So yesterday we organized one for web development. If you went there, you can easily go to our YouTube channel, search for DSC Unilorin on YouTube, and you'll be able to watch the recording of the session. So today we are organizing for Flutter. Then tomorrow we'll be organizing for Android. So one of the main issues that people have when it comes to deciding which one to go for is that should I go for native development or should I go for should I go for cross-platform development? So it's one thing that I myself haven't been able to wrap my head around because all I say at the end of the day is that it depends on what you want to do. So if you want to build an application that in a very short amount of time, I would say that you should go for Flutter. But if you want to build an application that really utilizes so much of so many operating system features, so you may want to build an application that like Snapchat or something. So an application that is as big as that, I would kind of recommend that you go for native development. So some of these things and some other things we'll be discussing about tomorrow when we discuss about Android. So Android developing for Android is like developing natively. So we'll be discussing about that. We'll discuss about Flutter today, and on Thursday, on Friday, yeah, we'll be discussing about UI UX, and on Saturday we'll be discussing about data science and machine learning. So I think, yeah, I think that should do it. So
Hold on, wait 1 second. Let me getting the links is going to take time. So let me just give you the names of the YouTube channels you can follow. So learn Flutter.
okay,
Would that be okay?
yeah, I will be
Yes, okay, that
typing
Flutter.
those names. Yeah. Okay.
Flutter itself, you can learn Flutter itself from their official YouTube channel. They have different playlists where you can learn specific stuff or if you just learn the language on its own. And this arcade mind is if you are just starting with Flutter right now, I will not advise you to use it because it was made 2 years ago. So and 2 years ago, Flutter has really changed in the past 2 years. And so learning this tutorial is going to really take you back and it's going to like you're learning the past and people are already in the present and how will I put this? So you learn the formal way of how we write Flutter apps, and then you have to start learning how to convert that old app you've written to the new way that we write Flutter apps now. So to learn Flutter, I will really suggest you use the documentation and just go through um, the YouTube channels I'm sending, the names of
So
the YouTube channel I'm sending. So
I also shared link to the code labs. So code labs are just code sessions, just short code sessions that explain most of the things that are related to the Flutter framework. So if you want to get started with Flutter, using Flutter Code Lab is also a way to start. So there's also a course on Udemy. I'm not sure, but I think it's a paid course. It's very good. It was created by Angela Yu.
yeah,
So I
this
think
course.
that's the course. So that course is a very good course. It's kind of expensive right now, but because things are kind of we are doing things online for now, we aren't doing physical sessions. All this they've limited the way we share resources. Normally,
I have this resource actually on my system, but
yeah,
I'm
but
not
to share those
near
resources is
learning.
kind of hard for now.
Yes, yes. Like it's a very good course. I have. Hello.
Yeah, 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 we can hear you.
Said I have most of the courses here on my system, but I can't really share because they are huge.
Yeah,
I'm measuring up to 30 gig for some. But using the code lab is actually very good because it is updated by Google. When anything changes in Flutter, the code lab is updated. So when you're learning with the code lab, you are sure that you are learning the right way and the latest way to write Flutter apps. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should share the link for this for Angela. You should share the link in the chat.
Okay. If you want to buy, there was a time she had there was a time they had a giveaway during the pandemic. Yes. That's thank you, Sadiq. I don't know about this one.
Yeah, they had sometimes Udemy also
They
does
had
giveaway too. Like sometimes some of these courses they sell them for close to as small as $11. So I think during those times, I think those are times that people should be able to buy these courses. $11 shouldn't be more than 4,000 naira. So I think 24,000 naira on a course is very okay. And based on the fact that this resource is a very, very good one. Okay,
would there be any more
if anyone has any other question, you can easily share in the chats or mute yourself and speak before we round up. Okay, so thank you very much everyone. I'll be sharing a link to the chat. So with that link you'll be able to join um our our community WhatsApp group. So you'll be able to you'll see a form there, you'll be able to fill the form. And much of these resources we'll be sharing them very soon because we are working on a way to centralize all the resources that we share for the in the DSC. So resources that are related to Android, web development, Flutter, and all those things. We are making sure that we share them since we can do physical sessions for now. We are making sure that we make those resources available in like a Google Drive or something where people can easily access those resources and download on their local PC. So yeah, that's the link to join the community WhatsApp group, and through that link you'll be able to catch up with most of the sessions that we are organizing. So like I said, we are organizing a session tomorrow also where we'll be discussing about Android development. So thank you everyone for attending this one. This session is also recorded if you want to watch over again. And thank you very much everyone for joining this call, and have a good day.